Jenny, or Henny Sherman, was born to a Jewish family in Frankfurt, Germany on the 19th of February, 1912. Her father, Julius, met his future wife, Selma, in Germany shortly after he'd immigrated from Russia. Henny was the family's eldest child, and she had two younger siblings, Herbert and Regina. In 1931, Henny's parents separated, leaving her mother, Selma, to take over the family shoe shop, which had been inherited from her parents. Henny worked as a salesperson for the shop, which was located on Messengasse Street in Frankfurt, Germany. Jenny went by Henny, which was a nickname used for girls, but also sometimes for boys. This could suggest that Henny felt more masculine or ambiguous about her gender. It also indicates that others recognized and respected this by calling her Henny rather than Jenny. What we can say for sure, based on the historical evidence, is that Henny never got married, but she had a son named Walter with a non-Jewish man. At the same time, she was also a regular at lesbian bars in Frankfurt. Henny's story helps us understand how the intersection of people's multiple identities influenced the way that they lived and how the Nazis treated them. In 1933, the Nazi rise to power meant that the authority for the German government could enforce the party's anti-Semitism. The Sherman family faced state-sanctioned discrimination and persecution because they were Jewish. For example, Henny's sister, Regina, was not allowed to legally marry her spouse, a non-Jew, due to the Nazis' Nuremberg race laws. This meant that their son was considered illegitimate by the government. The Sherman's livelihood, too, was drastically affected. The Nazis implemented a nationwide boycott of Jewish businesses on April 1, 1933. The boycott ultimately only lasted one day, but as anti-Semitism became German policy under Nazi rule, economic pressures grew. In 1935, the Shermans were forced to close their family's business. Afterward, Henny worked for other companies as a salesperson. In an attempt to further separate German Jews from the rest of German society, the Nazis passed the Law on Alteration of Family and Personal Names in August of 1938. It forced Jewish people with non-Jewish names to add Jewish names to their legal names. This meant Israel for men and Sarah for women. After 1938, Henny was documented for refusing to add Sarah as part of her name in official identification documents. Henny's refusal to add the name Sarah to her documentation symbolizes her commitment to personal autonomy and rejection of the Nazis' anti-Semitic policies. Upon her arrest, her prisoner ID and certificate of incarceration classified her as Jewish and as a political opponent. The Nazis also knew that she was a lesbian and noted it on her documentation. On January 3, 1940, the Nazis deported Henny to the Ravensbrück concentration camp for women. Her uniform's badge consisted of two yellow triangles, identifying her as Jewish to camp officials and other prisoners. On the back of her camp mugshot, Ravensbrück official Dr. Friedrich Mennick wrote, "Jenny Sarah Sherman, born February 19, 1912, Frankfurt am Main, unmarried shopgirl in Frankfurt am Main, licentious lesbian, only visited such bars, avoided the name Sarah, stateless Jew." As historian Dr. Anna Hakovich has demonstrated, an intersectional approach helps us to understand the fate of queer women like Henny. When the Nazis used multiple different laws to arrest queer women, they did not explicitly criminalize lesbian relationships. Paragraph 175, the national anti-gay law that the Nazis strengthened in 1935, applied only to men. Therefore, a lesbian's sexuality was rarely the only reason for being arrested, but it is clear that Henny's dual identity as Jewish and as a lesbian played a defining role in how she was treated by the Nazis. While at Ravensbrück, Henny was selected for murder as part of the 1413 policy, which authorized the SS camp officials to kill sick or infirm prisoners. Records indicate that she was gassed on May 30th, 1942 at the Bemberg Euthanasia Center, a former psychiatric facility that specialized in the systematic murder of asocials in society. Of Henny's family, only her father, her son, and her nephew survived the Holocaust. Her mother, Selma, and sister, Regina, were deported to the Wucht ghetto in 1941. There is currently no information about their fates. They were likely murdered or died within the ghetto without documentation. Her brother, Herbert, tried to escape but was captured in France and deported to Auschwitz, where he reportedly died of sudden cardiac death in 1942. Although Henny's father, Julius, survived the horrors, he passed away in 1948 due to causes related to his persecution. On May 9, 2010, Henny, Selma, Regina, and Herbert Sherman were honored by 4 Stolperstein memorials placed at the location of their family shoe shop in Frankfurt, Regina's son, Max Sherman, was instrumental in this process as an advocate for his family. His paternal grandparents, who were non-Jews, hid him until the end of the war, when his father was able to claim him. Yad Vashem, the World Holocaust Remembrance Center, has recorded the names and fates of survivors and victims since its establishment in 1953. As part of these efforts, Yad Vashem accepts pages of testimony, survivor and refugee forms, and other documentation to record the lives of victims. Since 2012, Henny's nephew, Max, has submitted 4 pages of testimony to Yad Vashem and 2 survivor/refugee registration forms dedicated to remembering and honoring the fates of his family. These records stand as an invaluable testament to the strength of remembrance.